Before we talk about where we are, we must first remember from whence we came. Marty Schottenheimer brought winning football back to Kansas City and built what is now known as Chiefs Kingdom.
We transitioned from a team built on its defense in the 90s to one of the most dominant offenses and return men in NFL history, led by Dick Vermeil.
In 2012, a 2-14 Chiefs team displayed disastrous play on the field and turmoil off it. We asked to save our Chiefs, and in came Andy Reid, who immediately turned this franchise into a perennial playoff team.
Then, on April 27, 2017, the Chiefs broke free from their journeyman quarterback restraints and drafted Patrick LeVon Mahomes.
In 6 years with Patrick at the helm, we're back-to-back champs and a dynasty headed towards a three-peat. We are unrelenting for this city, these players, and this team. This is the show for the allies. Arrowhead allies.
You are locked and loaded for the most exciting hour of Chiefs content each week right here at Arrowhead Allies. Thank you so much for being on hand. And today it's our distinct pleasure because it's a Hall of Fame show here at Starcade Media here at Arrowhead Allies. So why not welcome a member of the 2012 class of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, one of the great Chiefs of all time, one of the great left tackles to ever play the game. It is Willie Roaf, my friend. We saw you and interviewed you at the Super Bowl in Vegas. Willie, it's good to see you again. How's everything going, my friend?
Everything's going great. So Andy Reid got hired the same year I went in the hall, huh? I didn't realize that.
2013.
Wow. Yeah.
Good times.
Willie, how's it going? I know you've been spending time down in Florida these days. How's your summer been going so far?
Everything's good, man. I was traveling some. I was in Canton about a month or two ago to have a residency program. What's interesting, they had a lady that it was her first trip to America. She's 50. It was an overcast kind of muggy weekend. She came to Canton for her 50th birthday from London, England. Guess what she was wearing?
A Mahomes
jersey.
A Chiefs hoodie.
I love it, Eric.
And so so they bring in a different guy every week. Lynn Swan was coming out to me. We go to the Boys and Girls Club. We go around the City Chamber of Commerce. Went to a homeless shelter. Then we go to the auditorium at the hall, talk to the fans. And it was a great time. So I was there for a few days, and they're bringing in 30-something this year. They'll be bringing in 50-some guys next year.
That's amazing stuff, Willie. And first of all, man, I talked to the guys this week because I had something I really wanted to bring up on the show today because I actually have a story with you that I guarantee you won't remember. It's a quick story because I know we got to get some questions in here, man. But it was in 2006. I was flying back to Kansas City. I saw you board the same flight. You were sitting right in front of me, and I was geeking out. I was like, man, I'm nervous. I'm a teenage kid. I want to talk to Willie Roaf because you're one of my favorite players on the Chiefs. And I was like, man, I'm going to talk to him when we get the baggage claim. Get the baggage claim. My dad's like, dude, go talk to him. And I had all these questions I wanted to ask you, but I could tell that you were in a lot of pain. So I had to really make sure I had an efficient question for you. And you sat down, you're waiting for your baggage. I come up to you and I shake your hand. Of course, my hand disappears. And I shake your hand and I go, Willie, listen, man, I have to know one thing. I could ask you any question about your career or how you're feeling, nothing like that. I asked you a question about Ty Law. I said, hey, man, are the Chiefs going to sign Ty Law? And you looked at me and you blank faced me, man. You go, man, that dude is in a wheelchair right now. He's recovering from some surgery he's had right now. There ain't no way he's coming to Kansas City. And then as everyone, because you could tell people were kind of swarming around, you looked at me and you gave me a wink, man. And I carried that because 3 days later, the Chiefs signed Ty Law to a 5-year deal. And then 3 days after that, Willie, you said I'm retiring from football. So as a kid, man, I was ecstatic because I got to experience that with you. But I was also heartbroken because you were a week away from announcing your own retirement. So it's good to finally talk to you again, man. I got to know, man, how did you develop such a poker face? Because you looked at a kid's face and basically told him, "Ain't happening, kiddo, but I got you," if you know what I mean. That was amazing. I just got to tell you, that was amazing, Willie.
Well, you know what? If you saw me at the airport, I was coming into the airport to hold a press conference to say that I was walking away. So you caught me on the flight coming to say, tell them the fans I wasn't coming back. Man, but I had a great run. You know, I say this, the last 4 years in Kansas City, you know, especially what we were able to do running the football. And, you know, we ran right to keep it honest, but everybody knows we were left dominant. You know, sometimes it's a little tough on the road, but, you know, that put me in elite company, you know, what we were able to do, rushing the ball back-to-back years. And I talked to my wife, and I was at Dwight Stevenson fundraiser the other night, and some Chiefs fans were talking to him. I said, you do know that Chiefs fans have to understand they're watching. If you think about Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, Tom Brady, Gronk, you know, I'm in the room, but there's tables in the room. And Patrick Mahomes and Kelsey are making their way to the head table. So already those guys, I mean, Tyreek left. He decided to leave.
Right.
But Kelsey and it's one thing to have Bobby Bell and all those guys are Hall of Famers, myself, Willie Lanier, Curly, but to have two all-timers, you know, all-timers, you know, that's what you got right there with those two guys. And Chris Jones is going to be in the room as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how you'll go, but I mean, when you add those type of guys to your organization, it takes the reputation of the team to another level. The Steelers were built on the 70s. The Cowboys from the 70s to 90s, and the Chiefs have. It's fun to watch those two guys, but the fans need to know they're watching. They're watching three of the greatest guys to do it, especially those two on offense. Three of them to ever do it in NFL history right now.
Amen to that. Hey, Willie, thank you very much for joining us. We're honored and humbled to have you with us this evening. My question to you is to piggyback off what Lance was talking about. You waited until the Chiefs, you waited until late July to announce your retirement. How important or how hard was that retirement? Were you really seriously contemplating playing that 2006 season?
You know, I hurt my hamstring and it was really my back. I had an epidural block that year when I was out after that first game. And, you know, if I was having any question about whether I was going to be able to make it to the season, I didn't want to risk it. I had been through a major knee surgery before I got to Kansas City in 2002. So I'd already been through that and had dealt with that situation. So it was just, you know, I probably could have came back and been in and out the lineup and done some of that. And I see a lot of these guys do that now, you know, but, you know, I didn't want to end my career like that. You know, I made it through that season. I made another All-Pro in 2005. I think Pitch Magazine, the fans voted me one of the most valuable offensive player that year. So, you know, that was it. I wanted to – I thought about trying to come back and play one more year, but it had to be for the right reasons, and that's why – and then I ended up having back surgery after I retired in 7-8 years as it progressively got worse. And what happens is, you know, during the season, guys get massages. We go to the chiropractor. We take the anti-inflammatory. We're doing all this stuff, right? So then you go home wherever you live in the off season and you cut that stuff cold turkey. And then you just see how your body responds. And that's, you know, you're taking Toradol shots. I mean, if you guys know football, guys take B12 and Toradol shots. But, you know, you see how your body responds, and my body just wasn't responding the way I wanted it to. And I had been getting after some of them younger guys in 2004 and 2005, Freeney and some of them guys. So I didn't want to give them a chance to get me back. So that was another, you know.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah. Man, look,
it is an honor. I want to piggyback on what Shane said. What an honor it is to talk to you. You are the best, one of the best left tackles to ever play this game. Left, right, I don't give a damn what it is, but you are in that upper room that Deion Sanders talks about. I don't know if you heard his comments, but he's like, look, man, he's referring to that proverbial table that you're talking about how there are guys that are separated from the pack. Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Deion Sanders, Lawrence Taylor, yourself. I consider you in that pack. Willie, I want to know, who else do you consider in that pack in the upper room in the Hall of Fame? Who's the great of the greats?
I said I'm in the room. Now there's tables in the room now, right? So that top 20 table, I'm not at that table. I'm saying Patrick and Kelsey broke Jerry's playoff record. So he's at the table. Tony probably Gronk. Is Tony at that table? Kelsey's at the table now. You see what I'm saying? So
who's a better left tackle than you? Ogden, Pace? Who's better than you?
I'm saying Munoz is arguably the best left tackle. Run blocking, I don't think there was a better left tackle that can run block at the point of attack to me, and we proved that in Kansas City. Now, I didn't have a 2,000-yard rusher, but touchdowns and goal line short yardage, we were good at it. Now, we lost one of the best linemen of all time, if you want to say lineman or Larry Allen, because Will was right guard, I was right tackle but left tackle when I made all my accolades. Well, Larry played right tackle, both guards, left tackle, and Bruce Matthews, he played. So if you want to say linemen, those guys are the best linemen because they played multiple positions. Left tackle, I'm in that conversation. Me, Ogden, Munoz,
Walter Jones.
You got some old school guys in there. Like I said, I think I'm a better. Some of those guys had a 2,000-yard season or rushing a lot, but I'm in the conversation at point of attack, run blocking left tackle. That's where I separate myself a little bit as a run blocking guy with explosion at the point of attack. That's where I was a little different than those guys.
You mentioned Larry Allen. I want to talk to you about him. You were there in '94 when Darian Connor, your guys' linebacker, picked off Troy Aikman. He's running it back. Larry Allen chases down the speedy linebacker, takes the right angle. He's got the speed to chase him down and tackle him. Just what are your remembrances of the great Larry Allen, how integral he was to those Cowboys Super Bowl teams?
Man, he was there for that one Super Bowl. Larry's story. From Compton, had to leave Compton as a little kid, didn't graduate high school, moved back and forth. He was defending his brother, got stabbed like 10, 11 times. Just a quiet guy, always a professional. A class act. We played them in '94. That's the first time I played on Monday Night Football. That was the first time I played Haley and held my own against Haley. And him running that guy down, you know how strong this guy is. Him and Brian Waters, who we got from Dallas, was very, very strong. Larry benched like 700 pounds. Now, I was real strong at the incline. I used to work out with 405 on the incline. But Larry was just a special person and a special football player. And, I've reached out to him a couple of times. He never hit me back. But I was trying to call and check on him. I call and check Ogden, Pace, Jackie, all those guys. We call and check on each other, and I try to check on them, and they check on me. I just saw Dwight. I talked to Larry Little last week. So, we try to check on each other. See, I just got Derek Deese, who played for the 49ers a long time, just called me last week. So, it's good to hear from guys. And, you start getting your 50s. You never know, man. God, every day is precious. And, you just take it one day at a time, try to eat better, drink my shakes, go stay in the gym, do my cardio, get your numbers checked. Everybody's got to get their numbers checked. Alonzo Mourning, you just saw he had a stage 3 prostate cancer. My dad had prostate cancer. You got to get your PSA checked. You got to get your cholesterol, your A1C, and your for your glucose and all your numbers. You got to get them checked. And if your white blood cell count is off, then something's off. So, it's but we got to keep these bodies moving.
Yeah, Willie. When it comes to the 2003 offensive line, I know I view things through crimson-colored glasses here in Kansas City. I know that, and I guilty as charged. But when you talk about yourself, Brian Waters, who you mentioned, who came over from Dallas, Casey Wigman at center, Will Shields at right guard, and then John Tate at right tackle. Where does that 2003 offensive line at least rank for you as far as the great lines that you played on?
Oh, that's the best line I played on. The 2003 line, I will give us credit. In 2000, when McCarthy was our coordinator in New Orleans, our offense and defensive line carried that team. We had like three guys with double-digit sacks. Joe Johnson. We drafted Darren. I forget Darren from Kansas State, the defensive end, and we had Leroy Glover in the middle. But we had Turley and all us guys. We lost our quarterback. We lost Ricky Williams. We had running back by committee, and then we had in the playoff game, Willie Jackson caught 3 touchdowns. So that 2000 team, my offensive defensive line carried that team, and we won a playoff game. And then that 2003 offensive line, all them lines in Kansas City, man, we were just we were tough to deal with because we could all get out and run in space, and we were good at the point of attack. We were a left dominant team. At home, we could balance it up more, but on the road, sometimes you got a little stagnant. But we were a handful to deal with all those years, and it was just a lot of fun to be able to play with guys that good. I had some guys around me, but nothing like I had in Kansas City. And understanding now, looking back on it, having that caliber of players around you, it makes a huge difference. But the games, like you guys know, they start and end up front. Now, if you have the right weapons and you have a great quarterback, you can kind of make up for that, as you see Patrick Mahomes does. But it's a different game now.
Yeah.
2004 was a disappointing season to your guys' own standard because of what happened in 2003. We really felt you guys were going to build on that, miss the playoffs, but there was a game in early October, actually October 4th on Monday Night Football against the Ravens in Baltimore. It was one of the most dominant performances I think that Will Shields, your former teammate, ever had, so much so that he made Ray Lewis cry on the bench because he could not get through. He was busting his ass all night long. Willie, I want to ask you a question. Maybe it happened to you that same night. I know because of how legendary you were as a player, how you always found a way to stay healthy and were in every game, and you went up against the best of the pass rushers on the edge. Were there games like that for you, man, where you're like, I'm owning this dude. This dude's about to be, in the Hall of Fame with me. Like, were there games like that for you? Multiple games? Can you remember one that where you're like, man, the whole world's watching it's Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, whatever the case is, and I'm owning this dude? Can you remember one of those for me?
I had some games like that, but I got after Freeney. Freeney was young in 2003. That playoff game, I got after Freeney pretty good. I mean, when you can balance it up and you can run and pass and you get in a rhythm, you have games where you kind of get after guys, but a guy can make one play and get a sack. But, Will, Brian Waters, Tony Richardson was coming to get him too. I mean, they were taxing Ray, and Ray don't really – that's probably the game everybody talks about when his career that everybody remembers that we got after him, especially as intimidating as Ray was. Sorry, my dogs. But the birds are flying. We're on the water. So, but no, man, it was as a line. Those last years, we would sit in the film room after the game, oohing and ahhing over each other's blocks and trying to one up each other. That's how competitive we were. We would compete with each other about blocks and just how we were getting after people, and they made it a lot of fun. And Coach Solari would always come in there. Look, you guys set the tone. You're the veteran group, and that was our deal. We wanted to go out there. We wanted to set the tone. We worked hard. We got there early on Wednesday, like 6:30, and worked out together. And we met together. We hung out together off the field, and we that's why we were so good. That was part of it too. And me and Will go back to college, and him beat me for the Outland Trophy. We go way back. So, I was at the award. He was playing the game in Japan, and I'm up there at the World Award, and Bill Remington, who won 2 Outlands, got the award. And I made it all the way from Louisiana Tech. And I said, who is this Will Shields guy? I'm going to see how good he is in the pros. And And obviously we know how good he was in the pros. So I said we're tit for tat, but like you said, at that table, you got LT, you got Reggie White, you got Dion. I mean, you got a few quarterbacks, obviously Jim Brown, Emmitt Smith, Barry Sanders, Barry. So you got it. You can put the 20 together. Like I said, Patrick is there, Joe Montana, obviously Tom Brady, Kelsey. So those guys are all they're doing. And Patrick got a lot more football to play. That's Kelsey's got a year or two. Patrick's got a lot more football to play. Mm-hmm. So all he can do is keep adding on to it. And I'm not saying this to put any pressure. They're just the fans have to understand how good these guys are and how good they will be. But the organization and the fans should be very proud what the Chiefs have done, and Clark and Mr. Hunt and Andy Reid to take wherever the Chiefs were before. They just vaulted with 3 rings like that. It just takes the organization. You when you add those rings, they just what are the Chicago Bulls without Michael Jordan? If they don't have those 6 rings, what are the
Eastern Conference finalists against the Knicks?
That's it. So now you look at the Bulls, they're the Bulls because of Michael Jordan. What is the Patriots without Tom Brady? They didn't have a ring.
Right. Well,
6 with Matt Castle.
Yeah.
Really, let's talk about the current Kansas City Chiefs offensive line, the offensive line roster. Patrick Mahomes has won the last 2 Super Bowls with 2 different left tackles. Yeah. I know this generation is a lot different than the generation where you were a massive run blocker and you also excelled at pass blocker. You're one of the best. When you look at Patrick Mahomes' success, since we are talking greats, with what he has done with 2 different left tackles, in the mind of Kingsley Suamataia, the second-round draft pick, the rookie second-round draft pick, what advice would you give him coming to this team, knowing that Kingsley Suamataia is going to compete for Wanye Morris at left tackle? The Chiefs just won 2 Super Bowls. What advice are you giving Kingsley?
To work on his technique as much as he can, to come in shape, get in camp on time, get his contract done, be as lean as you need to be. If you're competing in left tackle, you need to be as quick. Make sure he's working on his hands, his feet, his technique as much as he can before he gets into camp, because they don't have camp like we used to have camp. So basically you're going to be learning during preseason. They won't even put on the pads that much. So we had 5 weeks of hitting, and my main thing was getting in camp on time. Get in camp on time, work on your technique as much as you can. Understand you have a mobile quarterback that can move around. So you learn where Patrick likes on these plays, where he likes to set up, where he likes to position, which way he likes to run off to, so you can know how to block these guys during the course of a game. And because he's gonna make your job way easier because he's a mobile quarterback. But balancing it up and making sure he's in the best shape he can be in, so if he gets that opportunity, he's ready to go. I got in that first preseason game, boom, I was penciled in and started my rookie year. I didn't miss a down. So the key is him being ready to play, him understanding that playbook, knowing that. But on top of knowing the playbook, you have to come in the best shape as you can be in, because you're walking into a team that's ready-made. Not only has Patrick had 2 different left tackles, he's had a different number 1 receiver the last year. Juju left. Yep. He had all these receivers dropping balls. You lost a Hall of Fame receiver who went to Miami, who's breaking all kind of records. So you lost a Hall of Fame receiver, but he's had Kelsey, and he's had running back by committee. You've had running backs dinged up. I understand it's a different league, but he's the type of quarterback that can make up for your flaws. And when it's crazy how they can turn it on in the course of the year. And when it comes that last month going into the playoff time, it's like they turn it up because they've been there every year. It's like the team goes into another gear and another focus, and they hone in, and they're geared. They're geared like I heard Belichick told those guys, the season doesn't start till November, December. And that's basically what the Chiefs are geared for. They're geared for making those runs, as you see what Kelsey did in the playoffs last year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that leads me right into the question I had in mind with younger players or offensive linemen, period, coming into the league. It's a very hard transition now, going from college to the pros now. It just seems to be a little bit harder for the offensive linemen as opposed to, let's just say, defensive linemen. The DNs can just come in and rack shop day one. Like, look at Micah Parsons. But with that being said, and with the shortage of training camp, like you just alluded to, I know that's a big reason why, but what do you suggest offensive linemen do, like trying to make their way into the league and become a legitimate player? What can they do?
I would say, I don't know when they end stuff in June, whatever, if they need to stay around, I don't know if they can stay around the facility. Learn their playbook. Learn as much as you can going into camp, because you're not going to be in camp as long. You're not going to have the pads on. And when you get into preseason, you're going to start practicing. You're going to start going against teams, but teams don't blitz. They don't show everything in the preseason. So you just got to learn as much as you can and be in the best shape you can and be on top of your technique. It's important. I know it's not the game, but if you're in practice getting beat all the time in a practice situation, then in your mind, you're going to go into the game with that mentality. Even though you're not in the game situation, you have to go out there and do well in your reps in practice, because mentally, it's going to help you get ready for the games. Even though I'm in practice, I'm in pass zone, I don't want to get beat. So I'm going out there working on my craft, but in practice, I still have to be dominant in certain situations, in the one-on-one pass rush, in the team stuff. When we go live and when we're really going, I need to be winning in those game-type practice situations so I have that confidence when I go into the game. Some periods, some things are going to be slowed down a little bit. But when you're in practice, you just can't be out there getting beat in practice, because then that type of tendency or that mentality will get into your head come game time. You have to be dominant in practice, and you have to go out there and be able to do that as well as in the game. So that carries over. Just like I remember in the training camp, the 03 season, kind of like Larry, Kavika Mitchell caught a pick. He's running, and I was at left tackle. I chased him down on the sideline. Kavika, you can get him on and ask him. Kavika Mitchell, I ran him down, so in the 03. And so in the 03 training camp, after the 02 knee, when I came off the knee, I was back in 2 days, and we were just in such great shape. And I was able to, that was the second year after that ACL. And that was I would say that was the best. I only had a couple penalties that whole year. That was the best year of my career, the 03 season, and I was 33. So, like I said, you got to get out there and practice those habits in practice. But to be able to practice those habits and go full speed in practice, you have to know what you're doing. You can't be thinking about the play and then having to do practice. You have to know what you're doing to be able to practice and fine-tune your craft.
Well said. I got 2 quick ones here for you, Willie. The first one, just your remembrances of your battles against the late, great number 58, Derek Thomas in the 90s. And then your first game in 2002 is a crazy one for the Chiefs, with Dwayne Rudd throwing his helmet, John Tate rumbling, bumbling, stumbling down the field, and you guys pulling out a victory from the jaws of defeat. To take us through that.
That was good. Derek and I had some intense battles. He came to training camp. I forget. We came up there in 97, and we were fighting so much they canceled the session when Derek was there.
I remember that.
You remember that?
Yeah.
DT, they came to our training camp, and I was going one-on-one pass rush against Derek, and I think I grabbed his elbow or something. And you remember he hurt his arm? He hurt his arm before the season started one year. So me and DT had some good tackles, and DT was more of a speed guy, which I liked. So I played DT in 94, and Neil had a couple sacks in the strip on us in the dome. And then I played DT in 97. And then I just remember having the respect for DT. And I knew him off the field because Neil's mother lived around the corner from me in New Orleans. And man, we had some good battles. And for me to, and usually when I come to Arrowhead, I'm in the the suite right beside the Hunt suite. What's that? Century 21, whatever that's, and they have his him doing the safety in there. And for me to end up coming to Kansas City and playing the way I did, and me and DT going back over our career and going against each other, I always think about him. I remember when they were out there acting the fool at that practice, I would go up against him. I'd be like, "What's up, Hall of Famer?" And I'd be messing with him in practice. But no, we had a lot of respect for each other. We had some real good battles, and he's one of the greatest. And like you said, we had some good battles, and I put that together. When I played for Kansas City, I didn't have a foundation. I had guys from his third and long foundation coming to games every week. So I always had those guys. I gave them seats and took care of those people from his academy. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, man, me and him have a lot of history, and he's he's not the greatest, but most beloved. He's right. I say he's the most beloved Chiefs player, of all time.
Oh, he's number 2 now. Patrick.
I got Patrick.
Yeah,
and
man.
Then the 0-2 game against the Browns, where the John Tate play, the helmet throw. What was your remembrances of that?
It was hot. It was the first game of the season. We were tired. It was hot out there. We thought we had lost the game until Rudd took that helmet off, and then I just remember sprinting, making sure I was trying to get a block downfield, and I almost knocked Eddie Kennison down, running down there trying to get a block. And John took off running, and John was a consummate pro, man. John, I came in. There goes my dog. I came in there, and John wasn't really too happy about having to go to right. And then once I showed I could play, and he understood I was coming back, and I just remember, you understand, John's a Mormon, right? And
yes,
they were kind of yelling and cursing. You just as coaches and GM or whatever, you can't talk to certain people a certain way, and they would just get on him a little bit, and I'll be like, just leave him alone, just let him figure it out. He'll be okay. I would tell the coach, during the game. And let him, and then he learns. So as veterans, right, we have to, especially a guy, I've been in the league 19 years, so at that point I done played through knee injuries, everything. So I'm like, just let him learn how to play, and leave him alone. Some people, you just got to leave him alone. You can't do the same thing for every guy. You got to treat him a little differently. So as a vet player, I was kind of telling them, and then John turned out to be an outstanding football player, and went on to Chicago and had they moved him back to left when he got to Chicago.
You should have heard the commentary from Mike Patrick and company.
Yeah.
Dan Deerdorf was on that as well. Willie, before we let you go, man, we got to hit you with our Fast Five, which is 5 quick questions, and you give us whatever comes to mind. Mine for you, Willie, is Cajun or barbecue? If you could only have one meal forever, which one are you going with? Cajun or barbecue?
Cajun.
I like gumbo. Okay.
Gumbo, yeah.
I'll give it to you.
Lance, go for it.
Stylistically, Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes, which quarterback did you like to block for more?
Oh, Patrick Mahomes. He's going to run around and make plays, improvise. He's going to take off running down the field and get the crowd going. Oh, yeah, that's going to get me fired up, Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
Why is 77 important for you? Why did you choose that number?
You know what? What's crazy, I was 71 in college, and then I was 76 in high school. That was kind of the number available. And what's crazy for me being in the hall, me, Ricky Jackson, 57, Morton Anderson, 7, then 77. So, it just, I'm glad I got it. It's very important, the 7's biblically. So, yeah, it was special to be 77 for my whole career, and I'm glad I got to wear that number.
Shane?
Priest Holmes or LJ?
Oh, Priest Holmes.
I love it.
Easy.
Yeah.
Willie, I have to ask you, I was going to ask you Travis versus Tony, but you pretty much made it clear that Travis is at one of those tables in the room of the special players. Obviously, Tony is too, but you mentioned Travis has kind of surpassed Jerry Rice. But look,
I'll say this: Tony didn't get to play in the playoff games. He didn't have the quarterback. Now, after the catch, Travis is a different guy. He ran like a receiver after the catch. So Tony was a little bit stiffer than Travis. Travis is, he broke Jerry Rice's record. So, I mean, for them to have Tony Gonzalez and then Travis Kelce back to back, I mean, who you gonna have next is, So, like I said, that table was, Gronk, Travis. You can't put me so many guys at that table. So it's like Drew Brees. Drew Brees has one ring. He's got all these stats, but he has one ring, and Travis has 3 now. So.
Absolutely. And the one I really wanted to ask was about Jim Mora. Your last year in New Orleans, 2001 playoffs, trying to win the game. What was going on with you guys and your teammates when you heard that from Jim Mora?
Well, Mora was with you. Mora was with Indianapolis then.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that is
Mora
right.
Left, Mora left in '96. More left in 96.
He had the other one. He had the we didn't do diddly poo
out there.
That's what he
was. I will say this to you guys. We haven't found anywhere yet. I do have a doc that is coming out about my history, my family. We have Mel Blunt's Purple People Eaters. I partnered with a guy. We've been working on this for a few years. Trent and I are walking around Arrowhead. We have Carl Peterson. We have Wills in it. Some more Coach Moore and Coach Vermeula in it. So when we get ready to figure out where it's going, I will be back on talking about the doc. We're gonna have some clips, but it's a good doc. It goes through my life. Me and my wife. I met my wife Angela in Kansas City. We've been married almost 11 years now. So. We got a lot of history. So I will be back on. Hopefully we have a home for these docs soon. And I will be back on and I will let the fans know where they can watch it and when it will be available.
Oh, can't wait for that. That's going to be awesome, Willie. You're the man. 2012 Pro Football Hall of Fame and 2002 to 2005 here in Kansas City. Always in our hearts. We appreciate you, my friend, and we'll talk soon. Can't wait to see the doc, my friend.
Thank you for having me. Blessings to everybody, man. Everybody keep their head up, keep God first, and just take it one day at a time, man.
Amen to that. It was an honor. Take care.
You hear what he said, Lance. Take it to heart, or he will envelop you in the corner like he used to do. He looked like Big Van Vader versus a jobber is what Willie Roaf looked like with opposing defenders. And I would not want that to be you. So please keep that in mind, Lance. Get right with whoever you need to get right with, buddy.
Hey, Lance, ask him who's the jobber. Ask him that.
That was really cool.
Moving on to the preseason schedule and everyone's favorite, Nico Remigio. Is he going to really put on this preseason and make this roster?
Yes.
It's without question. Yes.
Make it. Yes, Remigio with the 81. It looked good on him too. Look at him. Yes.
Yep.
It looking like T.O. a little bit with that 81. I'm liking it. I think he does make the roster. You see Kadarius Toney, he's only coming when it's mandatory. I think they're going to deal him away or cut him or something. I think there'll be room for him.
At 81, I wonder if he got permission from Chris Penn to wear that. I don't know.
If anybody wants to get excited about any free agent wide receivers after what I went through last year with Justin Ross, man, go ahead. Let's see what happens.
What I went through with Bobby Scipio and Josh Gordon.
I get you, man. So and I mean, somebody's not making it, okay? Like out of McCole Hardman, out of Kadarius Toney, who's not?
Yeah, listening to Lance on the Spoken, I just feel like I could insert me last year with Justin Ross with the way he's hyping up Nico Remigio. But kidding aside, I hope the kid makes the team. I love good underdog story, and we got to make deals to move Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney, and Remigio has to beat him out in training camp. That's what's good about training camp in these 3 preseason games. I know people hate preseason games, but for these guys at the bottom of the barrel that are trying to make the roster, let's see Nico Remigio work it.
You should have seen me last year with Smith Marset. I was definitely on the bandwagon for him.
Had something there that was not
Mhm.
unfounded.
Right.
Listen, guys, here's the thing about Nico Remigio. This guy was going to make the team last season. He was a guy that no one knew about. He reminded me so much of Albert Wilson when I was at camp. He was catching everything he was given. And now you're seeing the trust building between him and Patrick Mahomes, not just in OTAs, but you're seeing in the Texas Mahomes camp. Nico is everywhere to be found. He is clearly always on Patrick Mahomes' hip. He's trying to get himself integrated in his offense as fast as possible. And I understand what Shane's saying about the Justin Ross situation, because the hype, I don't know if there's ever been more hype about an unproven commodity in the history of the Chiefs than Justin Ross. And I'm really being serious. Like, that guy had the highlight reel every day out of training camp last season. The difference between him and Nico Remigio is, and why I think Nico's going to be successful in this offense, is that you saw last season how bad it was for the wide receiver room. And Justin Ross and other guys had their opportunities to succeed, and it just did not happen. Now, I'm not going to directly blame Justin Ross, but he did have his opportunities. Maybe he will have future opportunities. But we saw Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, and guys like that get ample opportunity after opportunity, and it did not work out. And so for me, Nico is going to be one of those guys, because what he has isn't what Kadarius Toney has. Kadarius Toney has first-round talent.
Yeah.
He has that breakaway ability, things that he's a game breaker. He has that ability. That's not Nico's game. What Nico has is all that Patrick Mahomes has ever needed. It was proven in 2022. Juju Smith-Schuster was a guy that was basically he was basically just cast away from Pittsburgh. He had injury problems, shoulder issues, all that stuff. Came to Kansas City and just did the simplest of jobs. Caught balls, ran routes. And that was the most explosive, best offense in the league, and Patrick Mahomes won a second MVP. I'm not saying Nico Remigio is going to turn into Juju. What I'm saying, though, is if he can become a poor man's version of what that was, this offense is going to turn back into something closer to what 2022 was than 2023, because that's what 2023 was missing. If you give Patrick Mahomes just reliable hands and guys that can run the routes, and again, Nico's an undersized guy, and we know Veach and Andy Reid have their type, that is the kind of guy that fits this offense seamlessly, and barring any injuries or setbacks, Nico not only makes this team, but can become an impact player in this offense.
Well said.
And
And
with
we
that-
move on here to Travis Kelce, who said still loves coming in here and playing football, and he's going to go till the wheels fall off. And hopefully that's more than the 2 years that people are speculating. But what do you say, Brian? Do you think he's got 2, 3, 4 more years left in him?
I don't know, man. It's hard to say. I can speak from a 38-year-old. I'll do that. and you know, I feel pretty good, and I'm not in tip-top shape. But I will say that the bruises do become a little bruisier. They become a little bit longer to recuperate. I'm starting to like feel things a little more now that I'm like 38 as opposed to being younger. So with that being said, Father Time is undefeated. He's going to beat everybody's ass. I don't care who you are, including whoever you want to name. No, including Tom Brady. Okay. So with that being said, I can't put a cap on where Kelce plays or not. But can you imagine? And I've said this on the show before. You're in New Orleans. We just got to talk with Willie Roaf. He'll be at Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans.
Yeah.
And the Chiefs just won their third straight Super Bowl. Repeat. You think about the storybook endings in the NFL, some of the greatest ones. Elway, he had a great one. Jerome Bettis, he had a good one.
Manning.
Peyton Manning, he had a pretty good one too. What would top all of those and could never be topped in the history of pro football? It could be Michael Jordan-esque, even though I'm not calling Kelce Jordan. It's the same as in him being a 3-time champ, three-peating, and walking off into the sunset. I don't think there will be anything sweeter for a professional athlete, especially with the future he has, potential future he has ahead of him, not only with his entertainment tidbits, but his personal life. He's starting to be transformed into a family man. We done seen Bachelor Kelce. That transformation is starting, fellas. And who knows? Maybe Taylor Swift is pregnant at that time.
Let's go. I would do anything.
Is Brian Abernathy News here?
I gotta call our tax person.
And perhaps he could play another year or two. Perhaps he could. But we see the history with players who played a long time, didn't look good on the resume going into the Hall of Fame. 1, 2, injury risk in his future. So I could definitely see him walking away, even though he could be healthy if the Chiefs were to 3-peat.
Noah.
Well said. Yeah, I was going to go to you with this, Clint. Your favorite news of the day. McCullum's back.
I was going to go to you with this because we're attached at the hip of this. We've only been trying to get rid of or distance ourselves from or just send to another country, anything to get rid of Mecole Hardman, but he's back. But
my man's.
Could that be to the detriment of a Sky Moore, who I believe is a completely useless football player at this point? Maybe so. Mecole Hardman, caught a game-winning touchdown here in the Super Bowl. He's not DK Metcalf. We wanted that more than anybody. We scouted that. We were on the road going to SEC football games all year long, and I said Mecole Hardman, who? I want DK. So McColl's back. Noah, you know my thoughts. I need you to can you just bring this back full circle? We're 6 years into this. We cast him aside. The Jets said, nope, you're not good enough to play on this team. And then the Chiefs proceeded to trade a second-round pick a pick to bring him back. And here we are. We're still playing.
And proceeds to make the game-winning touchdown in the Super Bowl.
I know, Brian. It's so great because if he wasn't there, there would have only been 10 men on the field, and there would have been no one else to throw to.
Sony would have dropped it.
Oh man,
you are so ungrateful for the gift that is Mecole Hardman, and I'm tired of it.
What clears the Sky Moore little portal here? He's clearing that, and so he's great. He's going to make the roster. He's better than Sky Moore. That's really all I can give him. I didn't want this. I've been trying to distance myself. I thought he was gone when he was with the Jets, and every time I think he's gone, they pull me back in. They pull Mecole back in, and he's back on this roster. And I don't get the fascination with this. He really doesn't serve a purpose here, especially with the guys like Marquise Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy and Kadarius Toney, who can run his gimmick plays that he does. He can't locate the ball downfield. He can catch a wide open pass on a corn dog. Who can't? Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney did against the Eagles. I have no use for Mecole. Goodbye. Get out the door. Unfortunately, they keep pulling him back in.
Because he does all the things those other guys do, but just better. He's a net positive. Think about it. Kadarius Toney was brought into this team initially to be a wide receiver 1. Now they're trying to talk him down as a wide receiver 5 that can do the gimmicky stuff. But if we're all being honest here right now, Mecole Hardman has proven more than several times over than red zone plays, the jet sweep motions, things of that nature, punt and kick returns. He's a better player. There's not a single thing that Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney can do. I'm saying that
Kadarius Toney 1,000%.
Okay, because in the Super Bowl we had that one, but you're going to tell me Mecole Hardman hadn't set pace or brought the Chiefs back in games because of special teams plays. We saw that in the Texans game. I know people don't want to give credit for that.
Well, that was 5 years ago.
I understand.
So I'm making examples.
What I'm saying, though, is Mecole Hardman is continually brought back for a particular reason. It isn't because the Chiefs love him so much. It's because the other guys they've been trying to replace him with aren't getting the job done. So they bring him back because, look, you do the basics and you do them right. Yes, he cannot track a ball down to save his life. We've all discussed that. That's why Hollywood Brown is here on a $7 million deal. But Mecole is back once again because of the fact they do not trust Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney. That's why he's going to beat at least one of them out for a job this offseason because of the fact he does things better, what they're trying to get those guys to do.
I can get on board with that.
I just think they have Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy to do the types of plays that they do with Mecole Hardman. And so you have those two guys coming in the building. I don't really see a use for Mecole Hardman.
Let's remember also what Rich Baldinger said 2 weeks ago on the show. I asked him, all these guys look like the same guys. Mecole Hardman, Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown. They all just seem like really fast, smaller wide receivers. And Rich Baldinger says he thinks it's because Andy Reid likes to be innovative and stay one step ahead of the competition. By having these guys, he can come up with his own plays. Noah, and I know I've talked to you privately about previous wide receiver rosters before. that if you look at those wide receivers compared to these wide receivers and take away Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, thank you. We'll go to 1998. If you look, if you take away Elvis Grbac, and if you take away the offensive coordinator, which was Jimmy Ray at the time, and you compare them to, and you have to take away Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, and you compare them as a stat, as individual wide receivers, the wide receivers are better wide receivers in 1998 than these wide receivers are now.
Without question. Without question.
Yeah. But you have to, like I said, take away Mahomes and Andy Reid.
Yeah.
But like it all also goes back to, like I said, when Rich Baldinger says Andy Reid has to like have his guys to be innovative and see the corn dog.
Isn't it ironic? Isn't it ironic, Shaggy? Isn't it ironic, to your point, though, is that the only successful receiver the Chiefs have drafted over the last several years has been their biggest, most physical receiver. Like, I get what you're saying. Like, they have a type, but yet Rashee Rice is the only breakout of all of them so far. Now, maybe Xavier Worthy will become that. A lot of people are expecting him to be that. They obviously believe in him a lot too. But it's so ironic to me. And even back to the Eagles days, when they finally broke free in the NFC Championship, who did they go and get the offseason before?
Terrell Owens.
I'm just saying, fellas, like, eventually you got to start seeing things for what it is. You need big physical receivers to really make an offense more fluid, in my opinion. That's why you saw Rashee Rice do what he did in this offense when he had really no concept of the offense. He was running shallow crossers, took him 7-8 weeks, and he became an effective player. And all of a sudden, this offense miraculously just started to open up a little bit. These little guys, I get they play their role, but you're 100% right. There's a bunch of it looks like a bunch of Spider-Man gifts, so they're all pointing at each other. You got to have your Rashee Rices, man, or else this offense is just going to continue to clunk, man, even with Travis Kelce on the field.
Fair enough.
Andy Reid, before you go, Brian, I'll let you go here in a second. But Andy Reid just likes these type of receivers because they're amoeba. They can all play their different positions. Everyone's the X, everyone's the Y, everyone's the Z, and they can all intermix. And so that gives Andy Reid more stuff he can do in his playbook with more variations and more different types of receivers, different names. And so he doesn't want a DK Metcalf, a George Pickens, a guys that just on the outside. That's all we do. We don't run a lot of intricate routes. We don't have a ton of speed. We don't run the crossers over the middle. We don't do a lot of screens. We're the big physical guys. We don't get a lot of separation, but we're going to go up and get those jump balls. Andy Reid wants his amoeba, small receivers, versatile, athletic. And Brian, what do you say about all this?
I really wanted to argue that. Like my first inclination was, the 98 receivers, what?
I love them.
And then you put the graphic up. And
once you saw Damon Hughes and Kevin Lockett, your argument was done.
I had to think about it. And Derek Alexander, we had him on the show last week. He was a monster.
Yep.
He was a monster. And then you add in Rice, and he didn't have a great year in 98, but his 97 season was spectacular with us. And then Joe Horn was probably the best receiver out of that group. Now, most certainly the best receiver out of that group was Joe Horn, and he was the slot. He was playing special teams on that team right there, along with Danon Hughes. So Lockett, he had to see, why I wanted to argue was because it was so much unfulfilled potential, and like Vanover, he wasn't a legit receiver. He was a great return man. Lockett did not fulfill his expectations of being a high-end receiver. And so that's why I really wanted to push back. But it's like, well, I can't really argue for the 24 Chiefs receivers with Kadarius Toney and his performance that he put on last year, dropping passes, tip passes that turns into interceptions. McCole is, you all just stated his case. And so I really wanted to push back on that, but that was just a interesting argument, though. It was an internal argument I was having with myself, like, maybe they're kind of right about it, but I think you are, because I think Joe Horn and Derek Alexander, those two, Andre Rison was a great player in the 90s. So that's a very, very interesting contrast of receivers. I don't think I ever would have thought about that. Remember previously, Shane, the pre-show, I told you met your match, but that's a good one that you pulled. That's a good trump card you put out right there, buddy. That was a good one.
I got a lot.
And I was looking through the quarterback stats, and I found this: how a bunch of former and current Chiefs quarterback are all right there, and then right smack in the middle is Chris Chandler. So Mahomes should pass all of them unless something catastrophic happens. Knock on wood, that will not happen. And he should move very far up the list. Still trying to catch Alex Smith, who's quite a ways up there.
And what does that say about Rich Gannon, a player that only got to start for the Oakland Raiders from 1999 to 2003?
Yep.
I mean, Rich Gannon is someone that, we missed on not once, but twice to make our starting quarterback here in Kansas City. And what the history of the Chiefs organization would have been like had Rich Gannon taken over for Bono in 96, or instead of going to get Elvis Grbac in 97, or staying with Gannon in 97, letting Grbac go after 97 or 98, because Gannon was still here then. I mean, so many missed opportunities there with Rich, and we see him at the Super Bowl every year. And we always have to talk about the what ifs there. But yeah, it says a lot. You see Lynn Dawson, of course, from a bygone era, and Trent Green there at 64. So Patrick Mahomes is gonna make some hay here as far as leaping over some Chiefs quarterbacks this season.
Oh yeah, he's definitely gonna pass.
And like Willie said, he's just getting started, man. He's got so much football ahead of him. I mean, my God, man. We're gonna be looking at this in 3 or 4 years, going, hey, remember that one time on the show we were talking about how close he was to like Chandler and Trent Green? That was cute. That was cute.
It will be fun to look back on. And we've also got some current and former Chiefs sack artists, and Chris Jones at 5. I don't know how far up the list he can get. I guess 2 is where he can go. I kind of expect him to hit number 2, take over for Tamba Hali.
Ooh, yeah, he's gonna need 50 to match DT. 50 plus. Yikes.
Yeah, he just needs one more double-digit sack season, though, to tie Neil Smith for the second most double-digit sack seasons in Chiefs history, though. So he's got some history to deal with. And I think Derek Thomas had 7. So that's something that maybe could be tangible. I don't think he's ever going to reach Derek Thomas, obviously, but I think that he could reach some of these like double-digit sack seasons and put himself in that upper echelon with the Chiefs all-timers like him, Tamba Hali, Neil Smith.
D Ford, who's on the list.
Can we not mention him, please? Can we take him off? Please?
I had to do that to elicit reaction and comments, and it worked.
He literally cost us a Super Bowl.
Yes, he did.
Why is he on there? He just randomly at 11. He just randomly at 11. Like, who was at 10? Who was at 9?
Eric Hicks is at 6.
Why did you put 11 on here? Why was that necessary, Noah?
Brian is so pissed right now.
Great job with the graphic looks great. This is great, and I love this segment, by the way. I love it. I thank you for putting this up. But why is D Ford on there at a random number? I can see if he was like 3.
I'm with Brian on this one. I'm on Brian. This is some shady crap right here, bro.
Facebook performance bonus pays on shares, likes, angry reaction, comments. And so D Ford elicits a reaction better than Frank Clark or Eric Hicks. So
it worked. Got Brian triggered, man.
We're just trying to get Jared Allen in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He was left off again. I think Jared should be there, guys. I mean, Jared,
number 7, only 4 years here in Kansas City, and he's number 7 all time in Chiefs history.
That's crazy.
Yeah. You know, the Mike Dana is the most underappreciated one of them all, and I know he's just only been playing since 2000, but the fact that he's on there for 17 and huge. Mike Dana, re-signing him is huge because of the tragedy or almost tragedy that happened last Thursday morning with B.J. Thompson, because B.J. Thompson was one of the guys drafted to be the eventual successor for Mike Dana. And, as we found out just a couple days ago, he's out of the hospital and he's home. So we're happy for that. But,
too,
so while Mike Dana, bringing him back, it's good to have him on the team. He's a solid freaking 5th round draft pick who's already has 17 sacks.
And 70% of them
against the Chargers. Yeah.
70% of his career sacks are against the AFC West.
Thank you. And probably more than 50% of them are against the Chargers.
Oh yeah. I think 8 of his 17 sacks of his career are against the Chargers.
He injured Justin Herbert's ribs. So.
Yeah.
You could put Dan Williams on that list. You had to put D Ford.
I did.
War Eagle.
Or Cal Trueluck.
I'm sending you, and I'm sorry, Card, an apology card in the mail. So.
This is a good one. Oh, this one, Joe.
I had to add the Colts because I remember I was like, oh, that's a good one. Plus, they've got like 5 big names there where the others only really have 4. So,
yeah, this is a good one.
What's this about?
The best offense, which one do you prefer? I mean, the 98 Minnesota Vikings should have won the Super Bowl. Instead, the Denver Broncos got, the Denver Broncos got there and they had no competition there in the Falcons after a Gary Anderson missed field goal to send the Vikings to the Super Bowl. The 99 Rams, God, we know it. The 2018
automatically
Chiefs,
04 disqualify the 04 Colts. I'm just going to automatically disqualify because they got dismantled again in another year in the AFC Championship game.
God, I guess I'm too big of a Chiefs fan. Brian, you're going to vault me into your list of top 10 with this one. I'm going 2018 Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, no, I get it. That Rams game, just fireworks everywhere. I will never forget that game. That whole season was so fun.
Yeah.
And I have a question later I'm going to post.
Fun, Brian likes fun? What?
Oh, yeah, I sure do. Winning Super Bowl.
There was no defense.
But bro, I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna be a little different, and I'm not gonna take the 18 Chiefs. That 98 Vikings team.
Yeah. Yes. It's just Randall
If
Cunningham.
it wasn't for their field goal kicker, bro, they would have beat Denver in that Super Bowl.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
I have no doubt about it because nobody had no clue how to cover Randy Moss, and had the arm to just let it grip, and Chris Carter was as good as they come with catching every single thing that comes in a 5-yard radius of him. And then you don't even have Reed on there. You don't even have Jake Reed on there. He was a monster. So and Robert Smith, like come on, man. That 98 Vikings, they went 15-1, right?
Yep. Yes. And the Falcons went 14-2 inexplicably and upset them, of course, in the NFC.
The great Chris Chandler, 63rd overall. I'm at passing yards.
Jamal Anderson, man, that was a great team. That Cowboys game on Thanksgiving where Moss had 3 catches for 3 touchdowns.
I remember I had him on my fantasy my first year, and I won the world championship.
You played fantasy in 1998?
Yes, without being online. Imagine trying to put all the score together.
Exactly.
Magazines
you have to get the newspaper the next day and just kind of like go through all the stats.
Who took score? There's no computer. Who took score?
We had a commissioner. It was all locally, so we lived close. So we would all
sit around. Won every year. I don't know, but he kept score.
So how much sleep did he get? Like there's no text. There's no computer.
Right.
We do compile ratings, guys, by the quarter hour. Nielsen ratings are compiled by the quarter hour here, guys. We're losing some. Before we get out of here, we got Madden. Oh, we don't.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, now you're talking my language, Clint. There we go.
I know. Well, Noah fixed it for us, though. The Super Bowl loser edition is available as well.
There we go. Noah, you're such an asshole. I love it. that's that Sagittarius coming out of you.
I had it all.
He had to bring up the horoscopes.
Yes, and then Mike Infante on our page said it should be Super Bowl loser edition, so I got to give him credit for that.
Oh, I like that.
Love it.
It looks good. Good work. I like the loser edition best.
I might actually buy a Madden again if it came with that. But
I love the confetti. It's a nice touch.
Oh, Christian McCaffrey, he's such a Taurus. Am I right, Brian? He's such
I don't know when his birthday is. Let me see.
I don't know either. I just said one horoscope, and I just figured you'd know. He's such a Taurus.
Last thing here, Noah.
Yeah, absolutely. Last one. My all-time Chiefs starting 11 offense, defense, coordinators, head coach, and above. You can't see it says Sky Moore banned from entering Missouri and Kansas. McCole Hardman banned from the building. So have those 2 caveats, but other than that,
what is this? This is complicated.
Well, yeah.
The offense is on top with the offensive coordinator Al Saunders. Defense on the bottom with Steve Spagnuolo as my defense.
I'm assuming John Alt's playing right tackle, dude.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Right. I literally agree probably with every single one you just named.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
I mean,
has John Alt? I don't know if John Alt played much at right tackle.
That's what I'm saying.
Moving him, and he's going to handle it like John Tate did when Willie Roaf got it.
I don't see
a little fire in that one.
I don't see Sean LaChapelle on your list, but it's
yeah. Where's Savvy Piscatelli? I want to see
Andre Rison. Why is Andre Rison on there?
Pat Moon? Who'd you want? Derek Alexander? Dwayne Bowe?
Either or is better than Rison.
No, Rison had really big moments.
Spider-Man.
Bill Barty can't get no love. Come on now.
Oh, God, don't bring him up around Noah.
Yes.
The show's going to run long.
Yes,
I've got my
yes,
diatribe.
yes.
Dale Carter and L'Jarius Sneed. That's sexy right there.
Heck
It's
yeah,
hard.
it is.
It's hard because there's so many greats from that first Super Bowl team, EJ Hollub, guys like that. But it's like, that we didn't see, Shane came in at the very end of that, not to age anybody, but
I'm surprised. I thought I was going to hear about Marty Schottenheimer. Are you guys just tired of telling me that?
Yeah, you're tripping. I just look past it. Like I don't understand how you would have him over Andy Reid, which is
You're tripping, Noah. Yeah, we gotta get a drug test. Did we do drug tests in Starcade?
We do.
Drug test? Okay.
Get him out now. Entertain the fact that you want some attention. By the way, Christian McCaffrey just celebrated a birthday. So he is a Gemini.
29? Is he 29?
Gemini.
No, you're trying to push him to 30.
This man?
No, he was born in 96, so he's 28.
Okay.
28 birthday, June 7th.
Was he a Capricorn? What did you call it?
Gemini.
Guys, when you start talking horoscopes, I talk about quarter hours and ratings, and they plummet. Those are key words out of our demographic. I'm telling you.
Thank you,
the
everybody.
What you don't know is I actually work with Nielsen with PPM, so I'm in that industry. There's no PPM on here. This all viewers, and they keep escalating. We had 231, baby. Keep them coming.
I live in the 90s. I live in the 90s and the Nitro and versus Raw Monday Night Wars ratings.
The diary era.
98.
Thank you, Tony would say things like, "We are desperately out of time. Thank you all for watching. Till next week."